Well, let's get going. This is day two of you know second live stream of the week. I live stream yesterday. Um, tried to give y'all some analysis on who I think the Rockets should go after at the NBA trade deadline, which is at the end of March. Keep that in mind. So today I want to talk about some scenarios that I've looked over in the last few days. I've really been going crazy with these trade scenarios because I know that the Rockets are trying to dump a lot right now. So I've come up with about around 5 trade scenarios that I think would work, and I think that they would make sense. Maybe not right now, but in the future. And so they would help the Rockets in that way. So, um, what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to go through these trade scenarios and talk to y'all a little bit about them. But by all means, chat with me. What do you think of the trades? Do you think they would work for the Rockets? And what do you think it would do to their record? So I'm gonna get right into it. The first trade that I have open, and keep in mind all of these trades that I have, they're gonna all be with teams that are kind of like that the Rockets have been in discussion with. So it's gonna be teams like the Sixers or the Heat or the Magic or someone like that. So I do want to jump right in. Here we go. So the first trade that I have come up with today. But all of these, and another thing, all of these trades are going to at least involve Victor Oladipo once and PJ Tucker a few times. So first trade scenario that I have up, and I'm using TradeNBA.com. If y'all don't know what that is, go visit it. It is a very useful, realistic trade website. A lot of popular NBA sources use it to work out trade scenarios and how they would affect teams. So go try that out. First trade scenario: Victor Oladipo to the New York Knicks for Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, Obi Toppin, and a 2021 second round pick via Detroit. Now, when I'm looking at the projected win rate and how that would change, it doesn't really change for this trade that much. But how would this affect the Rockets? Well, you're getting a guy like Obi Toppin, and you're getting, a few bench players that could, come on every now and then. They're not overly small contracts. I mean, I think combined, these 3 contracts, Victor Oladipo still has a bigger one. And really that would just really help the Rockets clear up some cap space. They would decrease their cap space, so they'd definitely be helped in that area as well. Now for the Knicks, you'd be losing a guy that you took pretty high in the draft, but you'd be gaining a decent scorer and a decent defender. So, that's something to think about. But for the Rockets, I think this would help them in the future if they do go make other trades. Now, I don't think the Rockets would make this trade, specifically if they were going to trade with the Knicks, but I do like this deal, and I think that the Rockets would get a lot out of it. So, I mean, if y'all have any comments on it, y'all can let me know. But once again, it's Victor Oladipo to the Knicks for Ntilikina, Knox, Toppin, and a second round pick. Which, oh man, like you're getting a second round pick too, along with all that. I mean, these guys. I'm not gonna say that these guys are like top tier players, but if you're also getting a second round pick with him, I'd take that any day. So next scenario, they're gonna kind of get a little bit more blockbuster, a little bit more of a blockbuster feel to them as we go along. So the next one I have with the Heat also involves Oladipo. Victor Oladipo and Rodion's Kurucs to the Miami Heat for Goran Dragic, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. Now, when I looked at this trade, I thought this will probably work, but it's not going to affect the Rockets. It's not going to affect their record. I looked at the record projection. It said the Rockets would probably have 27 more wins than they usually would with this trade. And the Heat would have 27 decreased projected wins. So this would not work for the Heat, but it would work for the Rockets. Rockets receive Dragic, Robinson, Hero. That's I'd take that deal any day. I don't care who it is. Because really the Rockets they're gonna sell anybody except for Christian Wood and KPJ. Keldon Robinson says, "What's up, bro? Nothing much. Doing my trade scenarios. Like I said, I've been going crazy these last few days, guys. I'm really I'm really intrigued to see what the Rockets can do this trade deadline. It better be good, and it better have some impactful trades. Because if it doesn't, the Rockets are in big trouble. So yeah, that's basically why I made this video because I was going crazy with it, and I said, you know, what are some deals that the Rockets could get where sure they might give up one of their best players, but they'd get someone in return that could become one of their best players in the future. Out of the 5 deals, I think this is my favorite because the Rockets are getting the duo of Robinson and Hero, and they're not outside of Oladipo, they're not giving up that much. They'd be getting rid of Oladipo's contract, although they would be gaining a bit more money. But I'd use that money. I'd definitely pay these guys more than I would Oladipo. His contract's 21 mil for 1 year. Goran has an 18 million contract. That's not a good contract. Duncan Robinson has a 1.6 million contract. Tyler Hero, 3.8 for 3 years. I'd take that any day. I don't know who wouldn't. So, yes, the Rockets would have a 27 plus 27 and projected wins. Right now, that would definitely put them over 500, and the Heat would have a negative 27 decrease in projected wins. So they would be a lot worse. But the Heat want Oladipo. That's obvious. So if I were the Rockets, I'd go for it. Now this next one, also Oladipo. I've got a lot of Oladipos here. Oladipo trades. So this next one, trading Victor Oladipo to the Golden State Warriors for Kelly Oubre, Damian Lee, Eric Pascal, and a second round pick. I like this trade. The increase in projected wins, 12 for the Rockets, negative 12 for the Warriors. Kelly Oubre, he's not the most he's not like one of those guys that you're going to say, "Oh, he's still developing." I think he's past that point. But he's proved himself to be a pretty decent replacement for Klay Thompson this season. Not a perfect replacement, but a decent one. So he would be a good deal for the Rockets. Then you got Damian Lee, shooting guard. I don't think Damian Lee will do much for you, but you got to throw some Warriors would have to throw someone in there to get Oladipo. And then you got Pascal, who still has 2 years left on his contract. It's a minimum wage type contract. He doesn't have Sure, he's not like top 10 draft class in last year, but I actually I actually think that Eric Pascal is an underrated player, and I don't think he gets enough playing time. So I like this deal along with the second round pick. Um, I don't think the Rockets would get a first round pick for Tucker or Oladipo unless it was like, you know, the Rockets were asking for just picks. Like, I think then we'd get a first round pick, but Rockets are asking for players and picks, so we're not going to get a first round pick out of this. But yes, I like this trade. I think this is definitely up there with the last one, the Hero Robinson trade. I think the Rockets should go for it. Mind you, all five of these trades have been successes. I don't want to give y'all an idea of a failed trade because that would just be misleading and it would be unrealistic. So I made sure that these were all realistic trades. Rockets also in this trade, I forgot to mention, they'd be dumping 3 mil off of Oladipo's contract. That means, yeah, they'd still be paying around 16 million, but they'd be dropping almost 4 mil. Because Oladipo's contract, let's be real here, Victor Oladipo's contract is terrible, especially for 1 year. And a guy who's been injury prone the last few seasons, that's a bad contract. Like you do not want to keep that. So, next. I also like this one, even though it doesn't really change the Rockets' win projection, but I do like the deal. Now, I don't. I wasn't the biggest fan of hearing that the Rockets were in for Aaron Gordon because everyone assumed he was going to be this big star, and then he kind of fell off. Like he didn't last long. Um, but I think that this trade, I think he might have some more worth on the Rockets than he would the Magic because I think the Rockets are better than the Magic. Maybe not record wise, but talent wise. So here's a trade: PJ Tucker and Dante Exum to the Orlando Magic for Aaron Gordon. Now you're probably wondering, why was there not a pick swapped in this? Well, Aaron Gordon. If we were gonna get Aaron Gordon, I don't. I don't think Orlando would be willing to give up a pick because they probably still think that Aaron Gordon could be a developing star in the making. But I mean, if they're getting PJ Tucker, they're gonna take that. I mean, let's be real, they're gonna take that. Despite the fact that PJ Tucker may be worn down, Orlando obviously obviously wants him. They're obviously a contender for him. And then you throw in Dante Exum's contract, which is awful. Dante Exum is being paid 9 million a year for 1 year, and with the rate of progression he's been at, I understand he was like a huge topic a few years ago when he was drafted because everyone thought, oh, he's gonna be this big star when he got drafted, but he was another like dump, like a waste. So if we threw him in there, I think Magic would take it too because sure they'd be losing 1 million off of Gordon's contract, but they'd also be gaining possibly a developing star, someone to replace Aaron Gordon in that position. So I like this trade. It might not affect the Rockets too much, but if you want Aaron Gordon, I'd go for it. And now we've gotten down to the final trade. This trade involves the Sixers. I really like this one. PJ Tucker's contract is around 8 million a year. He's got 1 year left. This is his contract year. So I thought if he's gonna thrive, if he would relish in Philly, why not get him decent deal out of it? So here's my trade. Now this would hurt the Rockets more than it would the Sixers, but the decrease in projected wins, it's not that much. It's only 3. Sixers would gain 3, Rockets would lose 3. That's fine. I take that. The deal. PJ Tucker to the 76ers for Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, I can't pronounce that guy's name, and Tyrese Maxey, and a second round pick via New York. I like this. I like all of these deals. And I understand. Yes, I came up with them, so it's like I'm almost tooting my own horn here. But these are all realistic trades. Sure, the Rockets would take $1 million off Tucker's contract, and they'd be getting a haul of youngsters. Yeah, I don't think teams seem to realize how old PJ Tucker is getting, because he's getting on in years. For the Rockets to trade him, just him alone, to get Korkmaz, Thybulle, Maxey, and a second round pick, that's a good deal. All 4 of those guys have they have a very small contract for long periods of time. Do I think the Rockets would go for at least one of these trades? Yes. So I've gone over the trades now, but now I want to talk about which ones Rockets would probably realistically go through. Now I want to talk about the Oladipo trades. We had 3 Oladipo trades, 2 Tucker trades. The one that I think the Rockets should go for the most, my favorite, is the Heat trade. They'd be getting a sharpshooter from 3, a playoff baller and Tyler Hero. They'd be getting a 3-point master and Duncan Robinson, and they'd be getting Goran Dragic, who, you know, doesn't have a very good contract for the way he plays, but he's a veteran, and he actually used to play for the Rockets, so I'd like to see that. So I think realistically, the Rockets should make this trade. And I think the Heat should go through with it too. Even if it hurts the Heat that much, I think they should go for it. Pair up Butler and Oladipo. I like that. The other 2 trades, yes, I like them, but they don't make as much of an impact on the Rockets as they do with the Heat trade. So I'm definitely going to take that. Plus, we'd be gaining money. No, we'd be losing more money, in that Heat trade with Oladipo. But you're getting these young stars. Like, I'll take it. So Tucker trades between the Gordon trade and the Sixers trade. I'm gonna take the Sixers trade, and the core my like my reasoning for that is Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle. These guys are young. They've had big games this season. They've had at least 5 big games this season. Okay, not big games, but they've had impactful games, I guess. And you're selling PJ Tucker to a team that honestly I don't think needs him. Considering, they have Embiid, Simmons, Harris. I don't think he would make much of an impact there, but if you want PJ Tucker, take him. The trade deadline is approaching, and the Rockets need to sell. They're going to be the sellers this deadline. But the question is, what will they gain? Because they're going to be sellers and they're going to be gainers. And they need to gain more than they sell. Possibly sell more than they gain. And if it's sell more than they gain, it's probably because most of what they gained is um not players, it's picks. So I'm hoping, yes, once again, I'm really hoping the Rockets can come big at the deadline this season. This is going to be a very vital day for the Rockets, and if they don't come up big, that could really affect their future. So, those were 5 trade scenarios I think would be realistic and that I think would work. Maybe some of them would hurt the Rockets, but possibly not in the future. Because PJ Tucker is getting old. He is going to retire in the coming years. So we need to dump his contract and get smaller ones because I I really want to see the Rockets win a championship soon. They do. They really do. The rate in which they're losing is getting to the point where it's it's not surprising anymore. Since trading James Harden, the Rockets are I don't know what the record is since trading James Harden, but I know it's bad. They were getting hot and then they just went absolutely cold. So they have to do something now. If it's not one of these trades, make it a good trade. Make it an acceptable trade. If it's not a good trade, make it a decent trade. If it's not a decent trade, well, at least you dump some contracts. So I think I'm gonna end it here. Um, I'll keep y'all posted. I'm constantly on the lookout for any trade alerts, so I'll definitely keep in touch. I'm definitely gonna be on it if the Rockets make a huge deal. Hopefully they can make a deal in the coming days because I don't want it to come down to the trade deadline when they start selling. I want it to be, you know, maybe like 1 or 2 deals before and then go big at the day, but just don't do everything that day. So, once again, that's gonna end the stream. Thank you guys for watching. If you did like the stream, subscribe. I want to get to 60 subscribers by the end of March. We did not. We failed to get to 60 by the end of February. So let's get to it by the end of March. I'll take that. So once again, like, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on my trade scenarios. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? And do you have any trade scenarios yourself? Do you have any? Do you have any? What's that called? Your own little trade scenarios? Because I'd like to hear them. I really like to hear what y'all think. I actually just changed my mind. So actually, I'm gonna change my mind here. I think I'm going to end my part of like talking. Like, I'm not talking about the trade scenarios anymore. I want to hear what y'all think. And if nobody tunes in, that's fine. I'll just end the stream. It's fine. So I'll give y'all a minute if y'all want to share any trades. Y'all have any opinions? If y'all want, and until y'all do, I'll just make like some uh some rocket small talk. So I was reading an article the other day that was saying that the Rockets were going to torch the house, and I've been watching a lot of live streams from Rockets fans. I don't think they really originate from. They're not from Houston. They're just they're just Rockets fans. And I actually like some of the trades they've come up with, and they've been similar to my trade scenarios, but not completely. So but man, after watching those videos, I just went crazy. I went crazy. I was like, I have to come up with trades. I don't care if the Rockets make them. I just want to see if they'd work or not. Because I had all these ideas and I didn't know if they were going to work. Sticky Northside ENT says, I think that we should get Aaron Gordon, trade PJ, and a second rounder. I agree. If you're just tuning in, Northside and ENT, I actually had an Aaron Gordon PJ trade. I had a few trade scenarios, and my trade was to do Tucker and who was it? I think it was Tucker and Exum for Aaron Gordon. But yeah, I actually like that better because we're keeping Exum. And while Exum isn't he's not a very impactful player. He hasn't even played yet. I like I like having a guy like that on the team. But if it comes to Aaron Gordon, if it comes down to Aaron Gordon, oh, I'm selling. I'm selling Dante Exum because Aaron Gordon's better. And I think down the line, Aaron Gordon will be way more impactful. He's got one of the biggest contracts on the Magic right now, and I think if he were to come to Houston, yeah, he'd probably have the same type of contract, but I think he would be a lot more useful here. Because really, Orlando, they're 14th in the Western Conference or Eastern Conference. They've got Vucevic, Fournier, Cole Anthony. They don't. They kind of have. They're kind of overdone at the power forward slash center position, and um that's Aaron Gordon's level of like expertise. That's a nice one, bro. 100. Yeah, I like yours too, though. I like the second rounder because sure we might give up a pick, but at least we're keeping Exum. Um, if we can sneak in in the trade for Tyler Hero, I'd be a happy Houstonian. I would too. Tyler Hero is a Tyler Hero is obviously a young prodigy. He's not going to be. I don't think he's one of those guys that takes forever to get going. I have him on my fantasy team, and I'm always checking up on him just to see how he's doing. Because after those finals last season and after the playoffs, I was I was a Tyler Hero guy. Like I wanted him on the Rockets. And if we don't get Tyler Hero on the Rockets, that's fine. We can go out and possibly get a top 4 pick, get Cade Cunningham. Um, I always forget that guy's Jonathan Kaminga or Jalen Green. I'd honestly be fine with either of those guys. Like it wouldn't matter to me. But if I had to say who I'd rather take, I'd definitely take Cade. Cade is the Houston talk, and he's obviously dropping it. It's I think since trading James Harden, Houston has just it's changed its way of thinking because before trading James Harden, we wanted to make these trades, but we knew we couldn't. But now that Harden's gone, now that Westbrook and Harden are gone, we can finally open our minds up and we're like, oh, okay, now we have some space to think. Now we can be sellers and we can be buyers as well. Before the Rockets could really only be buyers and it would hurt them. He's the second coming of Jason Williams mixed with D Wade. Yeah. Jay Will, I don't Jay Will, I don't know a lot about Jason Williams. I do know that he had some years where he was like okay, and then he had other years where he was like he basically like had a Tyler Hero in the playoffs last season type season. So yeah, if that's what Tyler Hero is, then I'm taking that any day. I've already got that idea in my head that that's the type of player that he is. But it's not even just Tyler Hero too. It's more that um like Duncan Robinson. I mean, Duncan Robinson he's a sharpshooter. When he played the Rockets, he couldn't miss from 3. And I know it wasn't completely like it wasn't him that completely impacted the game, but he was sharp shooting. Like, dude, he was wrecking it. So to have him on your team along with Tyler Hero, that'd be awesome. And then Goran Dragic, who has experience in Houston and who I think is still here. I'm gonna check his stats actually right now. I don't know what Goran is averaging this season. Um, hmm. I always have to go to my fantasy league because I can never pull it up on here. That's really what I'm using to check stats, and that's kind of what fuels my ideas is that I check my fantasy a lot and I see who I have on my team. Because if it works, if these trades work, I'm gonna be going crazy in fantasy. Like I'm gonna be trading for everybody. And that's actually another thing I wanted to go over. I'm trying to debate with myself if I should pick up KPJ yet. I I actually think that I should wait until he actually plays because I don't know for sure if he's going to be a huge star. So, oh, okay. So Goran is averaging 14, almost 15 points a game, 3 rebounds, and almost 5 assists. Okay, that's not bad. Um, but KPJ, I do want to talk about him because I have not had a lot of time to talk about Kevin Porter Jr. When I saw that the Cavs were going to try and trade him, I said to myself, the Rockets should trade for him. That would make sense. They just sold James Harden, and now they would get a shooting guard, a decent shooting guard. And that's exactly what they went out and they did. And now they're trying to convert him. They're trying to convert him to a point guard, which I like that. So you'd have if he does get converted to point guard and you move John Wall to shooting guard, you'd have KPJ, John Wall. Um, I'd love once again, if we traded for like Aaron Gordon or Tyler Hero, you could start Hero at like small forward or shooting guard. You'd have House, Wood, and then whoever's at center. I always forget who's at center. Although Oladipo's probably gonna have to start, but Rockets are probably gonna trade him. I did not like that he rejected that contract because it made me think that he wanted to leave, but then I was kind of reassured because then I thought to myself, oh, maybe he's just waiting for the Rockets to offer him a bigger contract. But then I thought if the Rockets offer him a bigger contract, that means he's probably going to stay longer. And I don't really want that. Now, Victor Oladipo, so far, he hasn't really met my expectations that well, but I like him. I like Victor Oladipo. I liked him before he even came to Houston. I never imagined that's a guy. The Rockets have had so many guys where I was like, I could never imagine them playing for the Rockets. And then the Rockets went out and they got him. John Wall has mm, he's exceeded my expectations. He's become a team player, but I feel like he's a bit talkative. And I think he's a little bit too confident in himself. Like, oh, or maybe he's a little bit too confident in the Rockets. That might be the problem. Because I feel like his confidence in himself, he deserves to have confidence in himself. He's dropping almost 30 a game every game. But, he's disregarding the fact that Christian Wood is probably our best player right now. And when he said that he thinks that he's the Rockets team player, Rockets went on a losing streak because Christian Wood was gone. What did that prove? That proved that John Wall is not our franchise player. Um, I'm trying to think of other things to talk about the Rockets. I don't know. I kind of want to end the stream here a little bit. Um, this is already a 35-minute stream. I did this a lot longer than I thought I would. 15. I'm 15 minutes over what I thought I'd do. The tra- it's been I've streamed about the trade deadline 2 days in a row. That's something I usually don't do. Because Sure, I like to be consistent with my uploads, but I don't like to upload every day because there are just some days where there's nothing to talk about. But I come out here, I just wanted to come out here today and give y'all some scenarios because yesterday I feel like I didn't have a lot except for the ones that I was seeing online. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. So, um I said a lot earlier. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you did like the stream, please subscribe. Once again, because we're doing this again. This is take two. Um, I do want to try to get to 60 by the end of March, so let's try to get to that goal. And once again, comment down below your thoughts. What are you thinking of these trade scenarios? And do you think they'd be impactful for the Rockets? And comment your own trade scenarios and how you think they would impact the Rockets. So, once again, like, subscribe, and comment. I will see you later, Rockets fans, NBA fans, everybody, sports fans. Go Rockets. Bye, guys.